Before the era of CGI-generated muscles and Marvel's multi-million-dollar blockbusters, CBS delivered to audiences a weekly tragic tale of a solitary man named David Banner. Through the performances of Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno, The Incredible Hulk, 1978 to 1982, was more than a comic book adaptation. It was a mournful symphony about the struggle between humanity and instinctual rage. 1. Lou Ferrigno, when blue body paint became a torturous armor. In the modern era, actors can simply wear motion capture suits to transform into the Hulk, but for Lou Ferrigno in the 1970s, it was a battle fought with chemistry and endurance. Instead of computer-generated effects, he had to turn his body into a living statue under the hands of makeup magicians. Every day, Lou would sit motionless for 3 hours while the team meticulously airbrushed each centimeter of his rippling muscles. The iconic green grease paint was advertised as water-resistant, but harsh reality on the blazing set quickly proved otherwise. As soon as Lou performed his earth-shaking roars or participated in high-intensity chase scenes, his body heat would rise, causing sweat to dissolve the paint and leave unsightly streaks. Filming in rain or humid conditions became an outright ordeal for both actor and crew. Makeup artists were on standby 24/7, constantly touching up the paint with brushes and sponges between takes to maintain Hulk's fearsome appearance. Lou Ferrigno's perseverance behind this toxic, grueling paint was more than just the creation of a symbol of strength. It stood as a testament to the quiet sacrifice of an artist committed to absolute authenticity in front of the camera long before the digital age. 2. The Lonely Man, the melody of eternal solitude. Each episode of The Incredible Hulk concluded with an iconic scene. David Banner trudging along an empty road, carrying his bag, his gaunt silhouette fading into the sunset or pouring rain. During these moments, Joe Harnell's The Lonely Man played like a fateful, resigned sigh. Composed in D minor, the key famously dubbed the saddest key in music theory, the slow piano notes captured the silent despair of a hero. Despite possessing staggering strength capable of moving the world, Banner was powerless to maintain a home or a meaningful relationship. The stark contrast between Hulk's destructive power and the fragile, lonely melody transformed the theme into a cultural emblem of pathos. It became a kind of universal language of bittersweet comedy and tragedy, later borrowed by shows such as The Simpsons and Family Guy to convey deep, sometimes darkly humorous human suffering. 3. Lou Ferrigno, the action hero in the silent mist. Behind the rippling muscles of the green giant lay a steel will that few could truly fathom. Lou Ferrigno performed this role under conditions that were almost half-blind, half-deaf. Due to a childhood ear infection, he had lost 80% of his hearing. Amid the chaotic film set, with the roar of cameras, distant directions, and background noise, catching cues and responding in perfect timing became an extreme challenge. He had to intensely read lip movements and closely observe his co-stars' gestures to hit his marks accurately. His visual experience was equally tortured. The oversized green contact lenses caused constant discomfort and blurred his vision as if he were looking through a dense fog. Combined with a heavy Tibetan yak hair wig that frequently shifted and obscured his sight, executing precise, smashing, or acrobatic action sequences was nearly impossible. Every outstanding frame on screen was not just the result of special effects. It was a testament to the extraordinary focus and relentless effort of a legend overcoming the limitations of his own body. 4. Perfect separation, two souls in one body. One of the most fascinating behind-the-scenes truths is that Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno almost never sat down together to discuss how to develop their shared character. While inhabiting the same entity, they operated in two completely separate emotional territories. Bixby brought to life an intelligent David Banner, someone who constantly restrained deep-seated pain, whereas Ferrigno embodied the eruption of raw instinct, an uncontrollable, primal rage. This lack of coordination, rather than causing a disconnect, became an intentional artistic nuance. The contrast in their acting created a genuine boundary between the human and the beast in the eyes of the audience. When Banner transformed, it was not merely a physical change. It was a complete shift into an unfamiliar identity. The independence in their approaches made the internal struggle between reason and instinct more authentic and haunting than ever, elevating the Incredible Hulk to a work of psychological depth far beyond typical superhero fare. 5. The mystery behind the name. Why Bruce became David. Marvel comic fans have often wondered why the Green Giant on television was called David Banner instead of the familiar Bruce Banner. This change was not random. It stemmed from the strict conventions of 1970s television. Creator Kenneth Johnson and CBS executives felt that the name Bruce sounded too soft or conjured images of weakness under the outdated societal notions of masculinity. To ground the show in realism and avoid negative reactions from the general audience, they made a deliberate name swap. Bruce was relegated to a middle name, and David was chosen as the first name to convey a grittier, stronger, and more relatable persona. Initially, this adjustment faced opposition from comic book legend Stan Lee, but ultimately, it allowed Bill Bixby's David Banner to establish a unique identity, a rugged, wandering, and approachable man aligned with the tone of a psychological television drama rather than the colorful scientist archetype from the comic pages. 6. The art of ripping shirts. Meticulous calculations behind the rage. Every transformation scene in The Incredible Hulk was never complete without the iconic shirt-ripping moment, a symbol of uncontrollable strength. Yet behind that explosive moment lay painstaking planning by the costume team. To ensure the fabric tore spectacularly on camera, shirts were designed significantly smaller than Lou Ferrigno's massive frame. Before each take, the costume designers would carefully score the seams or fabric with razor blades at strategic points, such as the shoulders and chest. When Lou flexed and performed his muscle-straining movements, the immense pressure from his colossal muscles would cause the fabric to split precisely along the pre-cut lines, creating a visually powerful effect without the need for complex computer graphics. The most charming and amusing detail was the denim pants. To comply with the strict 1970s television standards, they were made from extra-durable material, tearing only slightly at the hems or thighs to maintain modesty even when the character transformed into a fearsome green monster. 7. Facing the Beast. When Hulk fought a real bear on screen. In the classic episode A Death in the Family, instead of using dummies or crude special effects, the production went all out by bringing a real 300-kilogram grizzly bear onto the set. The fight took place in cold water, where Lou Ferrigno had to face the massive wild animal directly. Although the bear was carefully trained and muzzled for safety, its unpredictable instincts kept the crew holding their breath during every take. One of the most hilarious behind-the-scenes moments occurred when the bear, instead of growling menacingly, decided to be overly friendly by licking off Lou's green makeup. The sight of the Green Giant revealing human skin mid-battle created a scene that was both extremely dangerous and ridiculously funny. Looking back, audiences can truly appreciate the daring of 1970s filmmakers, because in today's CGI era, such life-risking stunts would almost certainly be replaced entirely with digital simulations to protect the actors. 8. When the Green Giant learned to face his anger. In 1980, an unprecedented event took place when the beloved children's television legend Fred Rogers visited the Incredible Hulk set. His purpose was not only to uncover behind-the-scenes secrets to reassure children frightened by the Hulk's terrifying appearance, but also to carry out an important educational mission. Under Mr. Rogers' guidance, Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno appeared together to show young audiences the makeup and transformation process, turning fear into understanding. This historic crossover delivered a powerful humanitarian message. Anger is not a shameful monster to be rejected, but a natural emotion that anyone can experience. Through the characters of David Banner and the Hulk, Mr. Rogers taught children that it is not the intensity of our anger that matters, but how we recognize, engage with, and manage that negative energy. This was not merely a set tour. It became a classic psychological lesson, connecting the world of dramatic action with subtle, warm educational values. 9. She-Hulk, the child of a dramatic copyright race. Few realize that the creation of the superheroine Jennifer Walters, She-Hulk, in the comic book world was sparked by a purely legal concern. In the late 1970s, when the Incredible Hulk was dominating television screens, Marvel Comics suddenly became highly alert. They received information that the CBS writers were considering having David Banner perform an emergency blood transfusion to save a family member, an act that would inadvertently create a female Hulk on television. Fearing that the network might debut this character first, thereby jeopardizing Marvel's control over the image rights and brand, Father Stan Lee quickly took pen to paper and released the first She-Hulk comic in 1980 to claim ownership. Even though the transfusion episode was ultimately canceled and never filmed, the success and pressure from the television series indirectly forced Marvel to birth one of the most significant and beloved female characters in the superhero universe thereafter. 10. The Roots of Tragedy, behind David Banner's sad eyes. In the classic Homecoming episode from Season 3, the curtain on David Banner's past was finally lifted, taking audiences back to his remote Colorado hometown. Here, viewers first meet Helen, his gentle sister, and his stern father, a man burdened by rigid prejudices. The episode was not merely a geographical journey, but a voyage into the emotional scars that had never fully healed. It turned out that Banner's pain was not solely caused by experimental accidents or the horrific transformations of his body. It ran deeper. The guilt of failing to save his beloved wife from a tragic car accident and irreparable generational rifts with his father. These deeply human details transformed David Banner from a scientific victim into one of the most psychologically nuanced characters on television at the time. He was not only fleeing the government, but also the ghosts of his past, making his solitude profoundly relatable and empathetic to audiences. 11. Kenneth Johnson's vision, humanizing the monster. Few know that the talented director Kenneth Johnson initially rejected the project about the Green Giant, showing no interest in straightforward monster or superhero films. He only reconsidered when he discovered a deeply human and psychologically weighted angle, turning Hulk into an epic about suffering. Drawing direct inspiration from Victor Hugo's masterpiece Les Miserables and the lone, wandering atmosphere of The Fugitive, Johnson sculpted a modern-day David Banner in the mold of Jean Valjean. Instead of focusing on flashy displays of strength and combat, he emphasized the torment of a man cursed by his own rage. Every step Banner took was an endless flight, a quest for redemption in a world that offered no refuge. This unique artistic vision elevated the Incredible Hulk beyond the label of cheap entertainment, transforming it into a profound psychological and social drama, where the monster itself became a mirror reflecting the deepest inner tragedies of humanity. 12. Jack McGee, the Javert shadow in David Banner's life. If David Banner is a modern-day Jean Valjean seeking redemption, then reporter Jack McGee is the perfect embodiment of Inspector Javert from Les Miserables. McGee is not a villain in the conventional sense. He does not crave violence or destruction. What haunts him is a sensational truth, a blind conviction that he must expose the monster to public scrutiny in order to achieve professional glory. It is precisely this extreme persistence that transforms McGee into a relentless shadow who never lets Banner go. Each time David glimpses a hint of peace or a new relationship, McGee's presence looms at the far end of the path, forcing him back into an endless flight. Their confrontation is not measured in fists, but in the struggle between a man yearning to be forgotten and another who wields the banner of truth to strip him of the right to live normally. McGee's presence elevates the tragedy of the Incredible Hulk to a higher plane, where justice and truth sometimes become the harshest chains of all. 13. Bill Bixby, the unsung star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. One of the most regrettable and controversial aspects of Hollywood history is that Bill Bixby, the soul of the Incredible Hulk, never received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Despite dedicating his life to the craft with numerous Emmy nominations and masterful acting, official recognition from the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce remains a glaring void. Bixby was not just an actor. He breathed life into David Banner's pain, transforming a fictional character into a global symbol of empathy. In response to this omission, close friends and devoted fans have persistently organized fundraising campaigns and lobbying efforts to place his name on the legendary avenue. Yet, for anyone who has ever felt the heartbreak of David Banner's lonely footsteps, Bill Bixby already possesses an eternal star in their hearts. The devotion, kindness, and depth he contributed to television remain his most luminous legacy, far surpassing any recognition made of stone or metal. 14. Hulk, the gentle giant amid the rage. There is an intriguing truth that few viewers notice. The 1970s Hulk rarely delivered direct, violent punches to his opponents like in modern comics. Instead of bloody brawls, director Kenneth Johnson crafted a fighting style that emphasized deterrence and protection rather than destruction. Rather than relying on brute fists, Hulk often lifted adversaries into the air, hurled them into haystacks, or used his mighty hands to bend the barrels of attacking guns as if they were made of noodles. This restraint was not merely a workaround for the strict television violence standards of the era, but also a subtle artistic choice. It maintained Hulk as a more sympathetic creature than a terrifying one, a primal being reacting defensively rather than a cold-blooded killer. These non-lethal displays of strength forged a humanized image of Hulk, allowing audiences to respect his extraordinary power while still admiring the vestiges of decency and humanity that lingered within the monstrous form. 15. Richard Kiel, the mist giant of the Hulk universe. Few people know that before Lou Ferrigno became the iconic Green Giant, the role of Hulk was originally intended for Richard Kiel, the towering 2.18-meter actor best known for portraying the villain Jaws in the James Bond films. However, after the initial test shoots, a critical problem emerged. Although Kiel's height was imposing, his physique lacked the dense, sculpted musculature necessary to convincingly convey Hulk's devastating strength. Producers quickly realized that sheer height could not replace a commanding muscular build, and they decided to cast bodybuilding champion Lou Ferrigno instead. Yet, a fascinating historical relic remains. In the pilot episode, if one observes carefully a distant shot of Hulk standing beneath a tree, it is still possible to see Kiel's lanky silhouette rather than Ferrigno's powerful frame. This last-minute casting change not only saved the character's visual impact, but also paved the way for Lou Ferrigno to become a living legend in the superhero film genre. An enduring legacy, when superheroes touch the soul of art. Looking back over nearly half a century, The Incredible Hulk, 1977, was far more than a simple entertainment piece about a massive green monster. It stands as a brilliant testament to how superhero media can rise to the level of profound humanistic art. Beneath the layer of green paint clinging to Lou Ferrigno's skin, behind the shredded shirts and iconic smashing sequences, lies a tragic story of loneliness, loss, and the ceaseless inner struggle of the human spirit. The show's success is the result of the quiet sacrifices of a dedicated cast and a production team bold enough to dream big in an era of primitive special effects. Together, they forged a living legend that has endured through time, where the melancholic piano of the lonely man still resonates in the hearts of generations of viewers. The Incredible Hulk taught us that true strength does not reside in bulging muscles, but in the resilience of a wounded soul seeking peace amid a turbulent world.